todos los teléfonos.
Mandy, capturaron a Maduro.
No! What? Yes! No! Oh, ¿de verdad?
Te lo juro.
You promise?
I promise.
Yes, sir.
¿De verdad?
Te lo juro. Promise.
¿Quién te dijo?
Hi everyone, I'm Lino. In my last video, I discussed the controversy surrounding Maduro's arrest. Although I believe Trump's order to arrest Maduro had legal flaws, honestly, I was still happy deep down that a dictator was being overthrown. Today, I want to talk about something that has deeply disturbed me. Not just as an observer of global politics, but as someone who comes from a country that also lacks real democracy. In recent days, after the fall or arrest of Nicolas Maduro, social media has been flooded with reactions. And among all the noise, one group of voices stood out very clearly to me: Venezuelans themselves. Not Western commentators, not think tank analysts, not Twitter activists with flags in their bios, but actual Venezuelans. And what they are saying should make a lot of people very uncomfortable. Across social media platforms, Venezuelans, many of them living abroad, many of them forced into exile, have expressed overwhelming anger toward the Maduro regime. They talk about years of hunger, collapsing hospitals, political repression, gang violence, and millions of people fleeing their own country just to survive. This is not abstract politics to them. This is not a theory. This is not a debate club exercise. This is their lived reality. And yet, what enrages them even more is something else. They are furious at Western progressives, often called white leftists, who rush to defend or excuse the Maduro regime. People who condemn U.S. intervention from the comfort of stable democracies, full refrigerators, and secure passports. Venezuelans are asking a very simple question. Who are you to lecture us about morality? These Western activists talk about imperialism, sovereignty, and international law. Again, these concepts are not meaningless. But to someone who has watched their country starve under an authoritarian regime, these words can sound grotesque. Because while you are debating theory, they are burying family members. While you are tweeting slogans, they are crossing borders on foot. Many Venezuelans have said very clearly, "You don't know what hunger feels like. You don't know what it means to live under fear. You don't know what it's like to lose your country." And they're right. Here is something that shocked many outsiders but is actually very logical if you listen to Venezuelans themselves. The vast majority of Venezuelans welcomed the fall of Maduro. They celebrated it. Some even described it as Venezuela's second independence. Think about that. Not a coup, not a tragedy, but liberation. Why? Because for them, the Maduro regime is not anti-imperialist resistance. It is a criminal dictatorship that hijacked the state, destroyed institutions, and turned a resource-rich nation into a humanitarian disaster. To them, Maduro is not a symbol. He is the man who ruined their lives. That's why many Venezuelans openly say something that makes Western leftists extremely uncomfortable. They believe that external political and even military pressure was necessary and morally justified. Not because they worship the United States, not because they love foreign intervention, but because there was no other way out. They argue that when elections are fake, courts are controlled, media is silenced, protesters are imprisoned or killed, then sovereignty becomes a shield for tyranny. And democracy cannot be restored by polite dialogue alone. What they are asking for is not ideological purity. They are asking for respect. Respect for the voices of those who actually suffered. Respect for victims over theories. And this pattern is not unique to Venezuela. We see something very similar among Iranians. Many Iranians, especially women, young people, and those in exile, have openly supported U.S. pressure and even direct action against the Khamenei regime. They are furious when Western leftists defend the Iranian government in the name of anti-imperialism. To them, this feels like betrayal. Iranian women risk their lives protesting mandatory hijab laws. They are beaten, arrested, and killed. And then they look online and see Western activists romanticizing the very system that oppresses them. Imagine how insulting that feels. Once again, the message from the victims is very clear. Stop speaking for us. Start listening to us. Now, at this point, someone will inevitably say, but the US has done terrible things too. Yes, that is true. Acknowledging American mistakes does not require us to whitewash dictators. Criticizing US foreign policy does not require us to deny the suffering caused by authoritarian regimes. These are not mutually exclusive positions. But for many Western white leftists, the world is reduced to a very lazy binary. America equals evil, America's enemies equals victims. Reality is far more complicated and far more brutal. A regime can be anti-American and deeply oppressive. A dictatorship can oppose US power and destroy its own people. The most disturbing part is this. People who enjoy the privileges of democracy, free speech, free media, free movement, are often the loudest defenders of regimes that deny all of these things to their own citizens. This is so similar to how young Chinese nationalists defend the CCP. The only difference is that these leftists are enjoying freedom. This is not solidarity. This is moral narcissism. And now, I want to say something personal. As a Chinese person, watching all of this makes me deeply sad, because I see many people in my own country who remain indifferent to the value of democracy and freedom. Some even mock those who fight for it elsewhere. They repeat propaganda. They laugh at suffering. They believe stability is more important than dignity. And they don't realize how fragile freedom is until it's gone. Venezuelans lost it. Iranians never truly had it. And many Chinese people still don't understand its value. That is the real tragedy. So let me end with this. If you truly care about justice, if you truly care about human rights, then listen to the victims first, not your ideology. When people who have lived under dictatorship tell you they are relieved, grateful, and hopeful after a tyrant falls, your job is not to correct them. Your job is to shut up and listen, because suffering is not a theory, and freedom is not a Western conspiracy. It is a human desire.